In today's episode, I interviewed Shan Rose. She's the commissioner for District 5 in the city of Orlando, which is the downtown core. It's the Kia Center and a whole bunch of other stuff. We talked about the opportunity that downtown has, as well as some of the cool stuff that you didn't know about, I didn't know about. Hope you enjoy the episode. Well, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for having me.
You got a fascinating district. When you and I first met, we were talking about what District 5 actually is. Can you explain that for the people that just don't know how the districts are all made up?
So it starts downtown and it goes all the way to Metro West. And so it's very diverse. And I've got the Dr. Phillips Center, the Kia Center, the soccer stadium, Camping World. And then I have 3 Valencia campuses. It's just huge. So it starts downtown, right west of Lake Eola, and it goes all the way to Metro West. It includes includes the whole Kirkman from Owen and Garden all the way to Conroe Road. And it's a very diverse, distinct community.
It's wild. I mean, how does that, on a day-to-day then, that means you're dealing with people that are Central Business District, they're trying to build apartment buildings or office buildings and bring business, but then you've got big business, like Kia Center kind of stuff, but then you also have boots on the ground, people that care, their house or their street has an issue, and everything else in between.
So can you be surprised? Everyone has an issue.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter. There's no one size. I think the biggest thing that this isn't a one size fits all. And so it's being, I would say, diverse in economics. And so that's what I bring to the table. So I used to work at the city of Orlando in economic development, in the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency. And then I went to the permitting office. So I get the world of growth and what that looks like. But the same development I may have in downtown, I may have that somewhere else in Kirkman. So we've got several apartment complexes that are like, hey, how do we get this off the ground? Yeah. But it's making sure that everyone has a good quality of life, no matter how rich, how poor. Doesn't matter if you're living in an apartment or if you're living in a house, or even if, unfortunately, if you're living on the streets. How do I make sure that everyone's life improves and we all do it together?
So good. Talk about growth in downtown. And this is something that I'm passionate about because I think downtown Orlando has so much potential. And yet it's interesting. You hear people, some say, I don't want to go downtown because it doesn't feel safe yet. Or other people say they're anti-growth. I don't think you can have both, can you?
You can. So I go downtown all the time, right? And I tell folks, day or night, sun up, sundown, midnight, 12 p.m. So I think that the perception is there are groups of individuals who will take partying and hanging out and make it look their way. One of the things that I heard in a group chat that someone wrote is that it's some racist folks that are making downtown appear unsafe because of the folks that are hanging out downtown. Crime is down. So when we think about overall, since I've been elected, 27% down.
Wow.
Right? So it's this, I think it's the misconception that one bad thing happens, it's just a horrible place. Bad things happen everywhere.
Yeah, sure.
Right? It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in a park or you're at a school campus. Unfortunately, bad things are happening. And so I think that we can grow together and get through it. There is a lot of potential. I think we need a true vision and a path that we're all on one accord about. And I think for everyone, it's really been, how do we address the homelessness, right? I think that's a big thing, whether in the day or the nighttime, because you have homeless that, they panhandle to people, club goers. So I think that should be the forefront in creating a very good downtown so that everyone can say, I enjoy it, right? I'm not getting harassed or I'm not, I'm experiencing the great things we have to offer because there are. I mean, you've got Agstone places. You got great coffee spots. You got great food places. You've got the Dr. Phillips Center, right, in the core right of downtown. And so I think that there's a lot of opportunity. We just have to have a vision and a path, and we're working on it together collectively. And everyone's input, everyone's voice is heard because we all want something different. And so that's what I'm working on, the diversity of downtown, making sure whether you want to go listen to rock music or if you want to go listen to rap music, those options are available to you.
This episode of the Orlando Real Podcast is brought to you by the Posit Group, my real estate team here in Orlando. Check us out over on Google. We've got over 1,650 5-star reviews. And when the time comes to get ready to buy, sell, invest, visit theorlandoreal.com/YouTube to get started. You're currently interim commissioner running for a full seat here. What does a commissioner actually do?
It's a very packed question. So overall, creating a place where everyone can live, work, and play. So making sure that we have streetlights, we have sidewalks, we have a park for you to play in, we have community centers. We spend our tax dollars to bring in different types of activities, such as the Smackdown that we're having coming up in a couple of weeks. Or we make sure that you have police services, fire services. So it's making sure that once you walk outside of your door, your services and your needs are met, from a sidewalk to streetlights to functioning, no potholes in the streets. I think what I have been intentional on is serving inside of the home. And so that includes making sure folks have food, making sure we have a digital literacy program that we just unveiled at the City of Orlando, where we're helping individuals learn how to use the computer. We will have a hotspot checkout coming up in a couple of months. So it's an opportunity that, again, typically our city services are outside the door the minute you step out. But now we're moving into households so that people have equal opportunity.
Sure.
And so your income doesn't stop your access to be able to do your homework, or your access to be able to do an application from the comfort of your home.
I love that. There's so many programs that the city offers that I think that people don't even fully understand, right? What's actually going on. And so part of it is just the knowledge of it. And then two, just, which way we take this. So what are some services that you feel like people just don't even know about that exist?
That's a very interesting question. People don't know you can get on your phone and download an app and report anything downtown. So we have a clean app that we have. If you see gum on the floor, if you see trash on the floor, if you see someone use the restroom, if you're seeing something that you want to report, we have an app that you can actually download.
No way.
So it's called the Orlando Clean and Safe app.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I bet I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So you just download the app, and then you put wherever you are. It'll locate you if you allow your location to be on. And if you want to report anything, trash, because we have a downtown clean team. And so that's what they'll come and do. So I think that's a piece that most folks don't know we have. We are spending a hefty amount of funds in art. And one of the things I've asked staff to do is to look and see if we can do an art app so that we can kind of do art walks and different things like that. So we spend a lot of money in art. We have a grant that we received from Bloomberg, Art Pollination, and there will be some beautiful murals that are coming in the next 45 days.
I love that. I love going downtown. I mean, we've got buildings everywhere, but I've seen other cities where they've got the art throughout. It just gives a whole different sense as you're going through the downtown area. So fast forward, your vision for your district. What does that even look like?
That's a very packed question. It's a place that everyone, like I said, can live, work, and play, but all needs are met, no matter who they are, whether they're. I just partnered with someone that's doing a fishing mentorship program at one of our lakes. And so it's an opportunity to meet with our young people to kind of mentor them through fishing and showing them outside. So, they say give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you give him a lifetime. You feed him for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of programs. And one thing that I'm intentional on doing is serving every program. I don't have boundaries, so to speak, when it comes to who. I don't have the clique, and that's typically what you see with politicians, right?
Sure.
They have their clique, they have their friends, they only serve this group or that group. I serve everybody. I'm down the middle of the aisle because I want to make sure that everyone's needs are met. Doesn't matter your party affiliation, doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your gender. I want to make sure I serve everyone. That's my vision: is a District 5 for all.
You and I were talking off camera. We were talking about affordable housing, which is a huge deal everywhere in the country, not just an Orlando thing. This is affordability is rough. And you had mentioned something around affordability. Everybody wants affordable housing, but not in their own backyard.
Yep.
Or, can you unpack a little bit about that, especially maybe even the downtown corridor, or the Paramore areas and that sort of thing?
So for a long time, Paramore has, I would say, upheld the blunt of making sure homeless services are met as well as affordable housing. So I've been intentional. I said it during council a couple months ago. Affordable housing has to meet people where they are. So District 5 is not the only place where people need affordable housing. And so I think we really need to look at that as a region, as a city. So I was very vocal. I said, hey, can we also look at land and opportunities outside of 32805 so that there is a diverse population? There is I'd say how Paramore, the stories that folks hear that everyone lived together. Well, if you're only creating a place for the affordable housing piece, then your average person doesn't get to work there, right?
Sure.
So if I make $70,000, do you have somewhere for me to live? And so being able to create a space, no matter how rich or how poor you are, you can live in the Paramore community. You can live in 32805. So I have asked that we explore other parts of the community, other parts of our city, to say, let's build affordable housing elsewhere so that we are meeting people's needs no matter where they are.
Do you know how much, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm curious, when you say affordable housing, most people think that this is just going to be super cheap housing and it's going to be, right? But it's really actually there's a percentage, hey, you can't make 70% of the average household income and live there or something like that. But it doesn't mean they can't be beautiful. It doesn't mean they're the old school projects or something like that, right? They actually can be something that are quite nice and intermix this. And we're seeing this over in like West Orange County where people are like, we don't know, Disney's doing their affordable housing project and there are people freaking out. I'm like, it's going to be Disney doing it. It's going to be beautiful, right? But having that socioeconomic diversity, I think is actually kind of a really good thing.
So here's the catch-22 that most folks don't know. So most companies build affordable housing because they're going to get tax incentives. And those expire typically 25 years. So what you see is unless they can get the tax credits reissued, they're going to go into regular mixed use, and the pricing will change. And so that's what I think we should look at more of mixed income opportunities. Like we're not building shacks when we build affordable housing. No. Affordable housing, and I want to make everyone clear, affordable housing is set by the state. It is not a local municipality. It is not City of Orlando, it's not Orange County government. So folks are always like, well, you guys need to make it affordable. And I'm like, well, you probably should talk to your state legislators because Florida Finance Corporation sets the rent limits for each of the categories, whether you're 300% below AMI or you're 30% above AMI. So the rates are set by the state of Florida, and then the entities who apply for the tax credits, they kind of stick to that, and then folks know upfront what they're going to be paying.
Let's talk a bit more about, well, it's really your district. I was going to say, let's talk more downtown. But some of the things we've seen online, business owners reaching out to me, bar owners and that kind of thing, and we touched on it a little bit earlier, but just go a little bit deeper. They say or believe that the city is trying to drive out bars and trying to like completely change downtown into something completely different in the future. I don't know what completely different looks like, but I'd love to know what that vision is, but nobody's saying it, right?
I would too.
Is that the case, or what's going on with the city?
So I would say, as the youngest on the dais, and as the youngest elected official, I am standing up to make sure we still have a nightlife and we continue to have a nightlife after midnight. I set this tone. It's 11:59. Just finished turning in my paper. I had a long week with my kids. I had a long week at work. I want to go grab a drink. Where do I go grab a drink? Well, if you shut down, then that's the vision. And if you shut down, what happens? Where do people get to say, I just want to get out the house? I just want to go have a mocktail. What do I do? I can't do that. So I do think we have to figure out diversity so that everyone can come downtown and it has a spot. I think some of the bars and the nightclubs are doing it organically because I've heard of a jazz spot that's supposed to be opening. So I think that's what downtown has been missing. The majority of the music has been kind of your hip hop and your rap. And so the negative and the perception is that there's a certain kind of clientele who comes down. Well, mosh pits happen with rock music, right? So like, is it the music or is it, what is it? And so I think that's what we've got to create. I've recommended policies that we need to look at. I think no matter how big or how small your establishment is, you should have some sort of off-duty officer. No matter how big or how small, you need to check IDs and you need to be wanding.
Sure. I mean, I think that's why so many people like Disney Springs and City Walk, because they wand, that it's a pretty safe environment. There's not crazy stuff that happens at either of those events. Is there a certain amount of people, like a limit in terms of how, if a bar has over 80 people, they have to wand right now? Like, what's the current law? 125, that's a pretty big establishment.
That is.
I mean, most bars are, you look around, there's 40 or 50 people there. So that's the good majority of them don't have to do anything security-wise. And it's funny because if people cared about the law, like you're not supposed to have a firearm in a bar. And yet, if people cared about the law, then we wouldn't have any issues. But it's the people that don't care about the law that cause the issues. So it's making sure that they know they're not welcome.
And I think it has that cause and effect. So if I unfortunately hear that people are carrying guns around downtown, well, what am I going to do, right? But I think we have to create this atmosphere where everyone knows, keep your guns in your car, you're safe down here.
Yeah, I love that. I'm sure you get a lot of developers and business owners that reach out to you and say, hey, this is something I'm considering doing downtown. I'm sure you don't have like an exact metric of this, but what do you feel like is keeping people beyond some perceptions from coming down to invest in the downtown area?
I believe state legislation this past session had something that we could potentially use. I think it's how do we get folks to come from upstairs downstairs? And I think that's what some of the concern, because a lot of folks build mixed projects. So if I build a mixed-use project, I want to make sure that I can have secure tenants downstairs. And that's what I think some of the businesses' issues are and some of the developers are struggling with, is having businesses that are going to survive. And I think we've got to run a whole say campaign on, hey, come out of your apartment, take the elevator to the ground floor and explore what we have.
Yeah.
I think because we miss like a Target, so to speak, or a Walmart in our downtown core, folks are so used to getting in their car,
Leaving
heading
downtown.
out and heading out to Soto or heading out to, Maitland or Winter Park. So I think it's being able to, I think there's a bunch of different things. One of the pieces will be advertising and doing more advertising of the businesses that are downstairs in our core. We've literally got a thing. We've got a sneaker store, we've got a jewelry store, and then besides the restaurants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what folks are missing. I would say if I could wave two magic wands, phone provider is one, and I think that's one of the things we're missing.
Phone provider?
Yeah, so like a AT&T or T-Mobile.
Doesn't exist downtown?
No, not right now.
What?
We don't even have a phone repair shop, Ken.
How's that possible?
We're going to work on it.
Okay.
And check my emails, huh? So I said phone provider, and I think that's probably going to be one of the ones. And some sort of big retail store. So if I could find a high end that may say that they want to come and invest, so maybe a Gucci or a Louis Vuitton that says, hey, I want to, this is what it's going to take for us to come in. This is what we need, and be able to like meet that metric.
Yeah.
I would say like those are the two: the high end store, some sort of high end retail store, and then a phone provider. Like those are my two magic wands that I could wave, because that's what that's what folks are saying. Like, where do I go to shop?
I love this idea of downstairs, because we got, society, you've got these big apartment buildings where they've got 300-400 units. And then those people, like you said, they go to their car and then they scatter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm passionate about this. I'm from Detroit originally, and I remember the downtown core was like empty. It was a ghost town. People, and then people that did work there, again, they were gone at 5 o'clock. Like, let's get out of the city as quick as possible. And I think one of the big shifts was they started bringing more jobs downtown. Then that allowed business owners to say, I can bring a phone store, I can bring a Louis Vuitton or whatever down there to where I feel like I'm going to have people. So it's just like this chicken and egg kind of situation where you're like, you need the people to support the businesses, but the people won't come unless there are businesses. So is that a tax incentive? Is that just like having one big conglomerate say like, we're willing to take a risk on downtown, or what is it?
So it's a mix of both. I think it's so we have incentives. So I just ran numbers. We did $1.2 million in business incentives in just the last year. Mm-hmm. So we have the funds. And those are, I would call it some of the smaller ones, because the larger ones we do separate agreements. So that's kind of the business facades, et cetera. We've got
facades, meaning like you change the outside of your building?
Outside and inside. So let's say, for instance, anything to make your building more attractive. Mm-hmm. So whether it's you need a new AC unit or you need windows, because downtown we've got parts of downtown is also a historic district, right? And it's getting folks to see like there is opportunity, and how do we overcome opportunity to make it reality. So EA came. They came with a lot of employees. Mm-hmm. So I think some of that is, how do we make sure those employees are spending downtown? Yeah,
maybe it's teaching business owners to tell the story that it's going well as well. I mean, like EA moving down is huge. Travel and leisure moving down is going to be huge. Against Westcourt eventually opens up. I think that will start spurring more. But if I was at the city, if I was like running social, I'd be like, look how great that we brought thousands of people downtown. And then, by the way, here's the opportunity, if you are a business owner, to then invest in to grow with us, right? I think that goes back to the identity of who we want to become as very important. And that's what I'm doing. I think I probably drive people crazy with that, because I'm like, I'm the youngest on the council. So it's like, I have to take all my energy now while I have it and like put it to good use. And I want to go that, like, what's the branding? We need to rebrand, right? Mm-hmm. Everything isn't all bad about downtown. Yeah. How do we rebrand? How do we go collectively go forward with where we're going, where we're headed? How do we advertise that there is a Westcourt coming? How do we advertise? And I think the other part, so I've been part of the City of Orlando family for over a decade. I think the other piece that folks are tired of hearing, oh, that project's coming. Oh, that project's coming. Oh, that project's coming. And so I think, some folks lose excitement. And some folks, it's like, well, you said that this was coming. It's like, oh, man. I thought you said that was coming, yeah. Well, at least Westcourt, I heard yesterday or 2 days ago, I guess permits are starting to move forward. So hopefully that's like an actual thing starting next year. I talked to Westcourt construction team, which is Turner, on a regular, consistent basis. And I'm like, when are we shoveling dirt? Are we shoveling dirt? I want to give folks the reassurance that a lot of the projects that we have been talking about for a decade are coming to real life and coming to fruition. We have hired an architect to redesign Bob Carr. Yeah.
So the once upon a time dreams, we are moving forward with them. Some of them are not as easy as folks thought they were. Permitting changes every day, right? Like there's a law that changes, and not every day physically. Every year, there's different laws that change, and that's what you also have to think about, right? So if I made this plan last October, and I'll use last October as an example, and a policy changed with my permitting, well, guess what? I now have to go back to my permit plans, and I've got to change that. Whether it's a sin, people don't realize like sewage laws change it all the time, every year. Whether it's septic to sewer, that was a big thing. That's a thing. That's a national initiative, right? And so like as policies are changing on a national and a state level, some of the developers have to adjust as well. Some of the tax credits that may be available are not available. Some of the tax incentives that may be available change. Live Local. I'll use Live Local Act.
Yeah.
That changed, right?
Yeah.
So it was a big thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, it changes again.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
oh, okay. So I
thought
think
that was going to be huge. I mean, I thought, again, Orange Code was going to be huge. I thought Live Local was going to be huge. All of these big sweeping changes that were supposed to make a big change just didn't happen or weren't utilized one way or the other.
part of politics, right? So someone's running for office and say, I'm going to do this. And so that I would say this. That's one thing that people could say, like, I'm unicorn and I'm unified. If I say that this is how I feel about something, this is how I feel. And so when folks ask me, like, what's my platform? I'm like, safety. Like, because if we have safe communities, everything else functions.
Where do you feel, I know this is probably a loaded question being that you have to serve everybody in your district, but where do you feel like is an opportunity in your district right now for maybe it's development or something where you're just like, that seems very underserved, like that seems like a no-brainer for somebody that they haven't moved in there yet?
What I would say is an untapped area that we as a collective region, and we actually are, is Colonial Drive. And so we have the West Colonial Drive corridor study. And I would hope, and I am going to push as the commissioner, that we stay focused on that. So often we bring in consultants, we do these plans, and they just go sit on the shelf.
Sure.
Colonial is the gateway into District 5. It's the gateway into our city of I-4. And making sure there's some sort of unity with the way it looks, and you get some kind of, I'd say, people can walk it, people can enjoy it, people know what's there. I think that's a big thing for me that I think that I could say my next 4 years I could spend really working on.
Yeah.
Because you hear a lot of negativity, when folks get off I-4, I'm going to Wawa. Oh my gosh, it's this, it's that. It's
So is that just the overlay where you're like, hey, this is what the type of businesses we're going to approve in this area, like quicker? Or how would you take Colonial and say, okay, I'm gonna change that? Like, what does that even look like?
Some of it is catalyst projects. So what parcels can we say we can put money towards and put money aside that we say we're gonna do this here? So for example, on the corner of Colonial and Westmoreland, 7-Eleven gone, they moved out, but it's been abandoned, and so has Burger King. And so how do we put dollars aside, go after the right business to go there, even if it's, and I'm not going to say, but even if it is an apartment complex or even if it's a commercial building. So that's what I would say. It's being able to having the incentives as well as having some of the unification. So what will we allow and what won't we allow, so that we don't end up, and I was taking a drive the other day and OBT. So like OBT is a very weird stretch where you've got a waste collector company with trucks on the forefront, and you've got some establishments with some weird signage. So I think it's being able to create a space that's family friendly to everyone. Obviously, we're not going to dictate what kind of establishments, but being able to say, like, there's some collective use of it. It's not just dead. And how do we stay on top and stay more in tune with businesses that are struggling so that we can get them the resources? And I think that's a big thing that, again, another waving a magic wand, being able to really be in tune with businesses to come to us when they're struggling, not to come to us when their doors are closing.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of that, like a business like, oh, I closed my doors yesterday. Well, when did you realize that you were closing your doors, and what did you need help with? Is it a simple post on social media? Do I need to send an influencer to come by and eat some food to let folks know? Do I need to send an influencer to know that there's a flower shop? Like, those are the things that we've got real influencers, and I'm tapped into a lot of influencers in Central Florida. So I think that's really what, and I probably would spend my next 4 years on, really tuning into businesses and letting businesses know that I'm here for you. I'm here to support. We're here as a city to support. So if we need to have a day where the mayor goes and says, because he's a big supporter of small businesses, if we need to go have lunch together and say, hey, mayor, I'm going to grab lunch at this restaurant on this, and then we post it to our social. It's like, oh, that restaurant is there.
Exists.
So.
He is. You're right. I get his schedule every day, and I get to see like what ribbon cuttings or places he's going to support. And my man stays busy with like supporting local, which is very, very cool from an elected official, and so do you. So thank you for that, Commissioner Rose. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for having me.
By the way, we're putting out videos just like this every single week, interviews with people that run Orlando, and a whole bunch of things around Central Florida. Hit the subscribe before you leave.